The Badgers get a big-time defensive lineman commit. Let's talk about him. Plus, who were my stars of spring or fall practice? Who stood out to me the most? All that and more today is Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. I'm your host, Ryan Harings. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you again for doing this. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. It's kind of the dead zone for sports right now. Summer's here, but FanDuel's hooking you up all summer long, boost and bonus to all customers daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, let's start here. The Badgers add a big-time target to their 2025 class. Defensive lineman Xavier Ukponu jumps into the mix. Let's hit the cannons and let's talk about his game and his fit, and then let's get into fall practice.
Fire the recruiting cannons. Another one is headed to Madison on Wisconsin.
Okay, so Xavier Ukponu, 6'2", 290. I think he's more like 300 pounds. Denton, Texas. He is a mid-3-star defensive lineman, defensive tackle. Had a really good offer list, like really interesting offer list. I know LSU was in on him. Arkansas was in on him. A couple other SEC schools, a couple of the kind of former Big 12 type schools were in on him. What is he and how does he fit into Wisconsin? So this is a guy who is just a rock in the middle. This is that sawed-off tree stump we talk about a lot on this show, right? You need that guy who can just sit into the middle of a line and not get pushed around. This is the player we were looking at, hoping that Jamel Howard can develop into, and that book's not written yet, but you need a player like this. This is who you have to get these types of guys because you can't find these in the portal, right? So this is a big win. Now, this is not a player, when you look at the film with Xavier, this is not a player that has a bunch of burst. He's not going to probably be a majorly disruptive defensive lineman, but he is a guy who doesn't stay blocked. He is a guy who doesn't get moved off his spot. This is the type of player who makes the entire defense better because while he's not racking up sacks, he's clogging up the middle. He's taking two offensive linemen. He's taking them for a ride. He's disengaging when necessary. Really, really strong, low center of gravity, low base. Brian Smith talks about, Deborah just asked, has Brian Smith weighed on this player? Really likes him. I'll get Brian Smith back on to talk about his game again now that he's committed. But I think Brian's exact words is, these are the type of guys Wisconsin doesn't get and needs to get every single cycle. I think it's actually like a direct quote from Brian. And yeah, he absolutely is. This is the need for this defense. We talked about it. This is the need. They've upgraded at cornerback. They're getting athletes in the back seven. The linebackers, absolutely athletically upgraded, and they've landed some really interesting pieces on the defensive end spot, like that strong side defensive end, guys like Telemock, guys like Ernest Willer Jr. But you need a dude like this that can just do the dirty work, be in the middle, and not get pushed around. So I think this is a big pickup. And then you start to look at the defensive line as a whole, right? You look at some of the guys they've gotten in the last couple of classes: Dilon Johnson, Ernest Willer Jr., Jamel Howard 2 classes ago. They're adding kind of that bulk to the middle that this defense is going to rely on. So this is a really nice get, Xavier Ukponu. Justin, who comes on the show a lot, I think he's put it really well. He said, this is a 4-star run stuffer. And I think that's a great way to put it, because I don't think he's a mid 3-star in the composite right now. I think he maybe tick up a little bit more than that, but he's not a 4-star interior defense lineman because he doesn't have elite burst. He doesn't have like that great get off, that great disruptive ability. He's never going to get 6, 7, 8 sacks. But this is a guy who can clog up the middle and allow other players to get 6, 7, 8 sacks. So I think Justin put it really well. 4-star run stopper, 3-star defensive lineman, but a really important piece to this class. Hats off to that Badger recruiting staff for landing Xavier. We'll get a few more people on to talk about his game as well, break down his film. But let's get into fall practice. So actually, let me get some of these comments here. Logan Couch says, boom, take that Oregon, LSU, USC. That's right. Adam Pettis says, yo. Jeff Olson says, boom. Zach Batterman says, Ryan, what's Brian Smith going to yell at you for now? He won't have much ammunition anymore. That's right. You check off some of those interior defensive linemen. He's still going to yell at me that we need another boundary receiver, probably. He's probably going to yell at me that you need another defensive lineman. But listen, I know Brian's not wrong, though, right? Like, that's the thing. Brian's not wrong when he talks about what this program needs and where it still needs to close the gaps. But, yeah, I'm not sure where he's going to yell at me next. Okay, let's talk fall camp. Fall practice. I was there today. We got to talk to cornerbacks coach Paul Haynes, and we got to talk to RJ Delancey. We got to talk to Ricardo Holman and Nizer Forkran. I want to start here, though. This is where I want to start. I want to start with what I think is the story of the practice, and that's the rushing game. This is going to be a really, really good running attack this year. Listen, all the hype on Tywi Walker, people have talked about it. We had Curtis Holland on the show who predicted this is going to be running back 1. He's going to go over 1,000 yards. I'm telling you right now, Tywi Walker looks the part. When you see, there's certain things you have to see in person to appreciate. Tywi Walker's running ability and his physicality, I think, is one of those things. Once you see in person, you appreciate it even more. It's like certain movies you have to see in IMAX. Tywi Walker, you have to see in person. He's really good. He's really good. And I'll reiterate what the Oklahoma beat writer told me. Said he's a fan favorite in Norman. He said, we're not sure why he didn't always get more carries. He had 7 touchdowns. He's a fan favorite, runs extremely hard. But while you see him in practice and camp, and yeah, check, runs hard, check, bounces off contact, check, I'll give you another one too. Really impressive feet. You know, the thing with, he is not Ron Dane. Everybody stop before I go. But the thing with Ron Dane that was so impressive wasn't really his size. Yes, obviously it was his size, but it was really his feet. It was his quickness. It was his ability to jump cut in and out of holes. It was his ability to make kind of a quick sidestep and then get north-south. He wasn't a 4 or 5 guy, but he was really quick between the tackles and he had underrated footwork, right? That was one of Ron Dane's superpowers. Everyone just fixated on the size, but he had incredible feet for his size. And if you're an older generation of Badger fans, you know that. It's kind of Tywi. Like, he has really good feet, really quick feet. And then, as Curtis Holland pointed out, like, when he puts the foot in the ground, it's north-south really quick. It's not wasted motion. This is not a guy trying to bounce it outside. He's not trying to avoid contact. He's going to find the hole, put the foot in the dirt, and get north-south. There were a couple plays today where he was bottled up and got 4 yards. Like, he also ripped off a 55-yarder, 50-yarder for a touchdown. Again, between the tackles, great jump cut. He looks really good. I think he's running back 1. I've been hesitant on it. I'm pretty high on Malusi still. I don't know. He has some unique burst in talent. And I'm going to be surprised, barring injury, barring something unexpected, if he doesn't emerge as the best running back in this group this year. Let's keep going, though. So this was a really good practice for Dilon Jones. Dilon Jones caught a touchdown pass early on a swing pass. That was against the defense in kind of a goal line red zone situation. He looks really natural catching the ball. Oh, wait. One more on Tywi before we move off Tywi, because what's the other thing we always talk about? Running backs. You got to be able to pick up blitzes. You got to be able to pass protect. You got to be able to protect VanDyke. You got to protect the golden arm, right? There was a monster blitz pickup from Tywi today. I think it was Tyler Jancy. I'm pretty sure it was Jancy. He came in the middle on middle blitz, had a free run. Tywi just planted him. Got a bunch of daps coming off the sideline. He was bouncing up and down. Like, so now you get a guy who Tywi caught the ball today, picked up a blitz really nicely and ran the ball really well. He might be the whole package. He did have a fumble. Tywi did have a fumble. He put the ball in the dirt today once. I didn't see who created that fumble, who caused that kind of that chaos, that collision. But obviously, you have to hold on to the ball. But aside from that, I thought Tywi was fantastic today. Let's go to the other guys. Talked about Dilon Jones. He looks so smooth as advertised. He does not look like a freshman running back, right? He looks as advertised. Had a 60-something yard run, which was followed up right after the Tywi run. So it was Tywi's big run. Next possession against the number 2s, it was Dilon who broke off. Again, very similar to Tywi. Great vision and balance between the tackles. Kind of pushed it to the left and then jump cut to the right. He looks really good, man. He's a hard one to bring down. And then Darrion Dupree. I don't think this was the best practice Darrion Dupree's had, but he had a 20-something yard run, had a couple really nice flashes catching the ball. Again, just he's unique too. He also looks the part. And I think this running game this year is the strength of the offense. I think this running game coupled with that offensive line, I think they're going to maul some teams. I really do think they're going to maul some teams. Now, it's obviously important to talk about the fact that you got to be able to stop the run too. And there were a couple times his defense was gashed today, but I think Tywee's going to do that to a lot of defenses. I really do. I think this is a better rush defense than we had last year, where we gave up 3.9 per carry. I think the linebackers are better. The defense line is a little more physical. Brandon Lane, I thought, had a really nice day. So I think the defense is better. And I've come out of it more encouraged seeing the running game come alive against them than I am discouraged about the defensive line and the defensive front seven not holding up against the run. I do think it's a valid question, but I think the Badgers rushing attack could be really, really good and dynamic this year. All right, coming up, let's talk quarterbacks. What did I see from VanDyke? What did I see from Locke? Who do I think had the better day? Some pros and cons with each that we saw. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. Let's talk about the all-important quarterback position. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show, and a quick second, as always, to say thank you for tuning in. Today's episode and friends of the show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one source for all your sports betting needs. Whatever you want to do from a parlays, futures, teasers standpoint, go over to FanDuel. You can get all that action. Major League Baseball is going on right now. It's a great time to get started because those futures are about to fire up, right? Those futures are about to fire up for college football, for NFL, whatever it is. You can find all that over at FanDuel.com. And FanDuel.com is the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Network and the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Thank you for making Locked On Badgers your first listen of the day. For your second listen, head over to Locked On College Football. Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron. He talks NIL, recruiting, big picture stuff. He is absolutely incredible. Go check out Locked On College Football, part of the Locked On podcast, your team every single day. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's talk quarterbacks. And it was an interesting day for quarterbacks. Let's start with let's not bury the lead. I think Tyler VanDyke had the better day. I think VanDyke, there was a point about halfway through the practice where I kind of thought Braedyn Locke was leading. I thought the passing game had inconsistencies all day. But Tyler VanDyke then went on a bit of a surge where he was really, really in command, really good, had 5 consecutive completions. But really the most impressive part of that to me was Tyler VanDyke was navigating the pocket, right? He wasn't panicking. There was some pressure. He had a great throw in that stretch where some pressure, stepped up in the pocket, kept the head up, found Tretch down the field. By the way, Tretch, I'm going to get to Tretch in a second. That dude is all the goods plus some. But Tyler VanDyke, as the practice went on, I thought got better and better. He got cleaner and cleaner. He definitely finished strong. He finished stronger than Locke. He had that great mid-practice sequence against the ones and the twos. They were alternating. So VanDyke and Locke would take basically turns with the ones against the ones and twos versus the twos. I thought he made some really nice throws. A lot of the intermediate stuff, great timing from VanDyke. I thought that was maybe one of the best things he did was timing up throws, finding slants, crossers, intermediate routes. Really good job there. No turnovers for either quarterback in terms of interceptions. I think that's incredibly important. Neither quarterback put the ball into the other team's hands. There was a fumble on a snap. I'm going to get to that in a second. But from a decision-making standpoint, I thought both quarterbacks were pretty clean. But from an execution standpoint, I thought VanDyke was better. He was just cleaner. Had a better stretch, really good moving in the pocket. A couple interesting things with VanDyke. Again, the athleticism is going to surprise people, right? They used him with a couple read options. He had a really nice pitch on one of his last ones where he kind of held it to the last moment, pitched it out. I think you're going to see some of that this year because he's a big physical quarterback, right? A big physical quarterback with speed. And if you don't account for him in the run game, he's going to rip off 20 yards. He's going to gash you for 15. So they're going to have to account for that. And when they do, there's going to be some opportunities for VanDyke to beat them with a pitch or to beat them over the top. So that was an interesting aspect to me. Let's talk Braedyn Locke. I thought Braedyn Locke started off pretty well. I thought he was at least toe-in-toe with VanDyke up until maybe halfway through the practice. And then Locke skipped a couple. Locke had a pass batted down at the line of scrimmage. Locke, I thought in the last sequence of the game, wasn't his best. There was definitely some incompletions there, some missed reads, missed throws. I've said this before. I think TVD is going to get the job. Today did nothing but reinforce that for me. I don't think I have seen, people reacting really highly to Tyler VanDyke today. And I'm not saying they're wrong or I'm right or anything like that. Like everybody looks at things with different perspectives. And I think that's the beauty of having different people look at this, right? Everyone has a different set of eyes. Everyone has a different set of perspectives. I thought VanDyke was good today. I didn't think he was great. I think the passing game as a whole was still inconsistent. There were some drops. They didn't hit any real deep throws today. They tried a couple different vertical routes. They tried a double move with Chris Brooks. They tried a couple vertical routes with CJ Williams. They tried a vertical route with Bryson Green. They didn't hit any of those. There was a situation Bryson Green basically got open, beat Amari Snowden on kind of a deep vertical, and they weren't able to connect. That was Tyler VanDyke and Bryson Green. The pass was a little too far. I thought Bryson Green maybe could have laid out for it. I don't know, but those are plays. That play was there. You got to hit those plays. And it feels like the deep ball accuracy for VanDyke or the deep ball separation for some of the receivers is still lacking. This team needs to be able to push the ball down the field a little bit more. There were explosive plays generated in the pass game, but more out of the pitch, catch, and run, which is fine. Like Longo's talked about that. Longo's talked about my ideal deep pass play is a 20-yard pass where the receiver runs for 60 yards. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But when that deep vertical's there, when that deep post is there, when that post corner's there, you got to hit it. I thought they struggled a little bit with the deep ball today. There were a couple moments where I think quarterbacks would have been sacked. Obviously, practice, it's hard to really tell when you blow the whistle or not. So some of those plays extend a little bit more, and it's just a little difficult to gauge quarterbacks. But I would say overall, Tyler VanDyke was good today. I think it's an encouraging step. If this is the version of Tyler VanDyke that continues to grow, the Badgers will be okay this year. They really will be. The pass game needs to continue to get more consistent. The running game will help them out because I think it's going to be really good. All right. Let's talk about some of the players that flashed. So that was the passing game. That was the quarterbacks. Again, I think it was better. But it needs to continue growing. Okay. Let me see what questions we have, if we got any in here. Let's see. Tom Niesis says, I've always felt improve the O-line play and get the running game going. That will help the quarterback. I think that's it. I think that might be better the game plan this year. Better offensive line play. They're going to run it a lot. And because of those things, plus I think the receivers are a year better, Tom. So I think you're going to see better quarterback play just because the pieces around them are better. And that's independent of whether Tyler VanDyke keeps growing or Braedyn Locke takes the job. I think ultimately the pieces around them are going to be better. So you are going to see better quarterback play. It's a tougher schedule and that matters. But I'm with you, Tom. I think the offensive line is going to be really good as long as they can stay healthy. And I think this running game is going to carry the offense. And then if that's the case, it gets a lot easier for VanDyke or Locke. I think it'll be VanDyke, but I do think it gets easier. I like what we saw today from the running game and the offensive line. I thought the offensive line kind of dominated the ones and the twos to some degree in that sense. Okay. Let's talk about some other players that I thought looked really good. I want to go to the young guys. I want to start at the young guys. I have a whole bunch of things I want to talk about, but man, this 24 class, we talk about it. And I don't know if people are sick of talking about it, but I'm telling y'all the hype is real on these guys. Like Dilon Jones, let's start. Well, we already talked about Dilon Jones, and I'm going to call him Super Duper Dupree. We've already talked about those guys. So put those off to the side. I'll just tell you, they looked the part. Anelu Lafayette looked really quick. There was a play. He was in one-on-one pass rushing situations with Riley Mahlman. He kind of toasted Mahlman. Now, again, that's not fair. That's one rep, and it's a one-rep thing where he's not getting chipped or anything, but Lafayette put a spin move on him that I thought was really impressive. Lafayette later in playing with the twos, had some really nice pressure, jumping inside on a swim move. And Mahlman's a really good player. Like, it's encouraging to see Lafayette, hold up in some of those reps. So I think he's going to be really good. I liked what we saw there. Xavier Lucas absolutely looks the part. There was a play when he's running with the threes against Mabry Mettoyer running the threes. They tried to kind of get him on a little bit of a play action and roll out to the other side, and Lucas just shut that entire side down. Mabry had to throw it out of bounds, get rid of the ball, because there was nothing there, because Xavier Lucas wasn't fooled, and even if he had been for a half step, his athleticism lets him get into space to shut that down. I'm telling you, everybody, we talked to the cornerbacks, Paul Haynes, the cornerbacks coach today, we talked to the cornerbacks, everybody raves about Lucas. I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time with Xavier. He's a star. He's a walking pro, and wow, he's going to be really good. Other ones, Dylan Johnson, the defensive lineman that got out of Illinois. He had a couple really nice reps. He had one where he pushed a double team back into the backfield a little bit. Again, absolutely looks the part. This freshman class is really good. Really, really good. So be excited about it. I think that hype is real. All right, we're going to take a quick break there. We're going to come back. Still a bunch of things I want to talk about, including some of the returning guys who I think have taken a step up, the receiver room, the cornerback depth, a couple more things I want to talk about. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show, and a quick second, as always, man, to say thank you for tuning in. But today's show is brought to you by our good friends over at eBay Motors. eBay Motors is the number one source for all your sports betting, or all your car parts. I apologize. All your car parts, whatever you need to keep your ride or die alive, you can find that over at eBay Motors. Over 122 million parts, whatever you need for your car, rims, audio components, lights, whatever it is, you can find that at eBay Motors. The right parts, the right fit, the right prices. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers, but this is the fastest and easiest way to buy parts for your car. I've had to do it. It's really easy. Just get it shipped to you. You don't have to go to a store. You don't have to worry about what's in stock. You don't have to worry if it's going to fit. You don't have to worry about any of that. we worry about enough, right? We worry about our offense. We worry about our defense. We worry about our special teams. Why worry about your carburetor or your rims? Take that worry out of it. Throw that worry in the dumpster. You don't need it. eBay Motors, the right parts, the right fit, the right prices. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's get back and let's talk about finish up here some other players that I thought really looked the part. Take some of your more comments. Any other questions you guys have? A couple other guys that I thought really looked the part. Chris Brooks, the receiver. It's interesting to me when you start looking at who in that second group of receivers, right, can carve out a role. Because you're going to have Pauling, you're going to have Tretch, you're going to have Bryson Green, who Bryson Green looked good today. I do think there's still some moments where I like I said, they didn't connect on a deep ball where he was open. I think it was kind of partially on Green and partially on TBD. But Bryson Green looks good. He's going to be a solid receiver. Who's going to be that next group that steps up, right? Is it Vinny? Is it Quincy? Is it Henry? Is it Tretch? Well, Tretch is going to be in there. But is it Chris Brooks? I want to talk about Chris Brooks for a second because sometimes the path to playing time is to be unique. Sometimes the path to playing time is to bring something to the table that isn't there. And that's what Chris Brooks has. He is big and physical. A couple moments today, I thought he looked really good. He looks the part, pretty quick in and out of his breaks, strong hands. I think he's a guy who can situationally be, they throw a lot of smoke screens, a lot of receiver screens, that kind of stuff. They try to get to the edge quickly with options and those kind of actions. I think Chris Brooks could be a guy who's out there to just be physical and beat up a cornerback. I think he could get into a role. I liked what I saw from Chris Brooks today. It was interesting seeing Brandon Lane. I thought Brandon Lane really flashed a couple times. Quick pressure on a Braedyn Locke throw. That's going to be a key. Like if Brandon Lane is ready to step up and really be a big part of that role, that's going to be a big key for me. I thought he looked really good. Nizer Forkreen, again, looks the part. Now, long, lean. He had a couple great coverage moments on deep verticals against CJ Williams was one of them. He was on Bryson Green for one. I think he was on the double move that they tried to throw to Chris Brooks. He looked good. Like I think there's a really solid number two there. Now, I think he still has to maybe become a little bit more of a playmaker, maybe make a play on a few more of those, but I think he's going to be really good there. Max Lofi, I thought had some really nice coverage moments outside of let's talk Tretch. Let's talk Tretch. I have a bet with Justin that Tretch is going to catch under 40 catches, under 40 balls this year, and Justin's over. I'm going to lose that bet. I'm going to lose that bet. And I'm going to happily lose that bet, by the way, because he's good. And you got to give him the ball. You know why he's going to catch more than 40 passes this year? Because every time it felt like when Braedyn Locke or Tyler VanDyke was scrambling, when the pocket started breaking down and Tretch was on the field, they found him as the safety relief. Now, Will Pauling is coming back into the fold is going to affect some of that. But, man, they get him the ball a lot. They get them the ball on receiver screens. They get him the ball in slants. They get him the ball. They try to throw in a kind of a deep post corner to him. And then on the scramble situations, right, where the quarterback's buying time, Tretch just has a unique ability of getting open and finding space and helping his quarterbacks out. So, yeah, he's going to catch over 40 balls this year. I'm pretty sure of that. A couple other players that I thought kind of stuck out. Let's talk Mabry Metoyer, the freshman quarterback. There's moments there. There's moments with Mabry, but it's still inconsistent. There's some accuracy issues there. He had a really nice play later in the scrimmage where he was able to tuck the ball, made a nice read, got to the edge, and you see the mobility. You see the physical skill set. He got to the edge and picked up a first down. He did have a couple nice throws over the middle, but in some of the skeleton drills, throwing to the sideline, the passes were high or low. It's just consistency with him, which is fine. I think ideally with Mabry, as you see it start to click, continue to click as fall camp goes, as the season goes. Coming into next year in the spring camp, he's really ironed out some of the consistency issues. And then he's just the physical tools he'll play. So I like what I've seen, but he's also a guy that you can tell there's a pretty big gap between the top two and then Mabry. Cole LaCrue didn't. The number 3 snaps were all Mabry that I saw, unless I missed something there. This one's from Jane Toronto. He said Brooks had a great fall camp last year and kept getting injured. Yeah, I'm telling you, like he really looks physical and good out there. I think he's gonna earn a role because he brings just something that nobody else in that receiver room does. I think he's gonna be really good there. And not in a lot of minutes, but giving them something physically near the goal line, red zone, as a blocker. A couple interesting things we saw. They did some 2-back formations. They had Tywee and Jackson Aker out there at the same time. I think that's really something you could have fun with. And you kind of use Aker as a hammer and lead the way for Tywee. That's definitely a power back type of situation with Tywee behind Aker. Again, Curtis Holland has made a comment in here. He said, will Tyler VanDyke be better than my Dynasty TVD this year? 43 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 72. No, he won't be. But I want to give Curtis credit for, listen, Tywee's the dude. Like, he looks so good today, man. I think you're dead on with that one. All right, let's wrap it up there. Again, we're going to be at camp. We're going to be at fall practice in Platteville every day this week. So a bunch of content coming up. Definitely let me know. Shoot me a message if there's anybody you want me to specifically keep an eye on. The big picture from today, I thought the quarterbacks were good, not great. I think the passing game still has some inconsistencies, but Tyler VanDyke definitely had some real nice moments today. Thought he did great stepping up in the pocket, keeping his head up, finding players. Other big takeaways, the rushing game. Tawee looked great. And the two freshman running back. Again, all these guys, they look like they live up to the hype. So I'm excited about that. And then, the linebackers. Jaheim Thomas had a really nice day. Flows to the ball, tackled really well. I really like what he's bringing to the game. They're playing him a little inside, a little outside, mixing it up. He's going to be a physical run stopper for the Badgers this year, so I like what he's doing there. And aside from that, on Wisconsin, the Badgers got a big pickup today as well. More content all week long. Some really good interviews we're going to try to put up as well. On Wisconsin, I was there at practice today with the Bird Dogs on. It was amazing. It was so much fun. And I appreciate the heck out of every single one of you who are listening or watching or tuning in, however it is. Let's go. We'll talk more football tomorrow.